In the silent depths of our everyday life, unseen forces ripple through every breath we take, every word we speak, and every thought we nurture. These are not the workings of chance or destiny, but of something far more intimate: karma. To the Buddha, karma was not a system of reward and punishment cast down by an invisible judge. It was the simple, profound truth that every intentional act leaves a trace, like footprints in wet soil. These traces, though often hidden from view, shape the very contours of our lives, not as fate, but as echoes of choice, rippling forward. What we plant in our thoughts, we harvest in our experience. In every moment, we are writing the story of our future not in ink, but in intention. In this journey, let us walk gently into the Buddha's vision of karma, not as a superstition, but as a call to awaken, a call to live with awareness, with compassion, with responsibility, because in the end, we are not punished for our anger or greed, we are punished by them. Welcome to Trandy Wisdom, where every story is a quiet truth waiting to unfold. 1. What is karma in Buddhism? Karma is not what we are told by folklore. It is not divine retribution, nor a cosmic justice system that tallies our sins and virtues. In the teachings of the Buddha, karma is far simpler and far more profound. It is the echo of our intention, the footprint of our consciousness upon the ever-changing ground of reality. To understand karma is to look beneath the surface of things, not just to observe what is happening, but to recognize why it is happening. A smile, a word, a passing thought. These are not insignificant ripples. They are seeds. And just as surely as a mango seed cannot bear a palm tree, the nature of these seeds determines the nature of the fruit we one day receive. The Buddha once said, "It is volition, monks, that I call karma. For having willed, one acts by body, speech, and mind." Anguttara Nikaya 6063. In this teaching, we are reminded that karma is born not from the act alone, but from the intention that precedes it. An action rooted in anger carries different weight than the same action rooted in compassion. The outer gesture may look the same, but the mind beneath it carves an entirely different path. This is why the Buddha did not emphasize rituals or sacred offerings as the path to liberation. He pointed instead to mindfulness of intention, to the quality of the heart that gives rise to each action. Karma, then, is not fate. It is our relationship with cause and effect. It is the unseen web we weave, moment by moment, breath by breath. In the forest monasteries where the Buddha taught, there were no scriptures yet written, no commentaries or dogma, but there was silence, and within that silence, a great clarity. The monks would ask, "Why do some live long, and others die young? Why do some dwell in poverty, while others are born into wealth?" The Buddha's answer was never simplistic. He would say, "Beings are the heirs of their actions. Whatever they do, good or bad, they inherit the result." Majjhima Nikaya 135. Kula Kama Vibhanga Sutta. But he would also caution, not everything is karma. Illness may arise from biology, not wrongdoing. Beauty may come from ancestry, not virtue. This is not a world ruled by punishment and reward. It is a world shaped by 1,000 conditions, and karma is but one thread in that great tapestry. Yet, it is the thread we hold most directly. We may not choose the rains, the seasons, or the winds, but we can choose how we plant our seeds. Consider a farmer. She cannot control the weather, but she chooses what she sows. If she plants bitter roots in anger, she should not expect sweet fruit. But if she tends the earth with care, even in poor soil, life may still rise. In the same way, our actions do not guarantee outcomes, but they shape the field of possibility. This is the gentle truth of karma. It invites responsibility, not guilt. It reminds us that even when the world feels chaotic, there is a place where our will matters. We are not trapped by our past. As long as we are breathing, we are still writing the story. The Buddha said, even if one has acted badly in the past, if he performs good deeds in the present, he brightens the world like the moon, emerging from clouds. Dhammapada 173. To meditate on karma is not to dwell in regret or fear. It is to observe our inner landscape with honesty. What fuels our actions? Is it fear, competition, craving, or is it understanding, compassion, and presence? The law of karma is not enforced by any deity. It is carried in our own minds, expressed through our own deeds, returned through the unfolding of our own lives. There is a story from the early texts. A man, troubled by suffering, asks the Buddha, "Why is my life filled with hardship while others prosper?" The Buddha does not answer with blame, but with reflection. Look within, observe your thoughts, your words, your actions. This is the path to understanding. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. The Buddha was not interested in creating a system of blame. He wanted us to wake up. Wake up to this truth. Every thought you cultivate leaves an imprint. Every word you speak becomes a thread in the web of your relationships. Every act of kindness reverberates far beyond your knowing. And yet, karma is not fixed. It is fluid. Like water, like wind, an old wrong can be diluted by streams of goodness. A single moment of insight can reroute a lifetime of wandering. In the ocean of cause and effect, awareness is the boat that lets us steer. So what is karma in Buddhism? It is not superstition. It is not a ledger of cosmic judgment. It is the quiet understanding that the mind is powerful. That intention matters. That love, spoken gently, can change a life. That cruelty, unguarded, returns with sorrow. Karma is the mirror we hold up to ourselves, not to punish, but to see clearly. And once we see, we begin to choose differently, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. We begin to plant seeds, not only for ourselves, but for all beings. Seeds of peace, seeds of patience, seeds of liberation. The Buddha did not ask us to believe in karma. He asked us to look, to examine, to live mindfully, and see the truth for ourselves. Because ultimately, karma is not something that happens to us. It is what flows from us and returns to us like a silent echo of our own becoming. 2. How did the Buddha explain the law of karma? The morning sun does not choose whom it shines upon. It touches both the lotus and the thorn bush with equal warmth. In the same way, the law of karma, as taught by the Buddha, does not discriminate. It does not punish. It does not reward. It merely reflects what is like a still pond that receives the sky without judgment. The Buddha did not speak of karma as an abstract theory to be believed blindly. He spoke of it as a natural law, something observable, something lived. As surely as a seed contains the tree, as surely as a shadow follows form, so too does karma follow intention. But he urged us not to take his word for it. He said, "Come and see for yourself." The Dharma is not imposed. It is discovered through mindfulness and direct experience. In the discourses of the middle-length sayings, a man once approached the Buddha with a troubled heart. "Why," he asked, "do people suffer so differently? Why are some poor and others wealthy, some healthy, others sick?" The Buddha did not speak of fate or divine will. He answered with a quiet clarity, beings are the owners of their deeds, the heirs of their deeds, born of their deeds, related through their deeds, and supported by their deeds. Whatever they do, good or bad, they inherit the results. Majjhima Nikaya 135. But karma, as the Buddha taught it, is not linear. It is not a one-to-one transaction. It is not a cosmic vending machine where one inserts virtue and expects blessings in return. Rather, it is a field of conditions, a dynamic interdependence, where past actions set the stage for present experience, and present actions begin shaping future possibilities. To understand karma is to understand the mind, for it is there that intention arises, and it is intention that gives karma its moral weight. Two people may perform the same external action, say, giving food to the hungry, but only one may do so with a heart of compassion, while the other gives out of fear, obligation, or pride. In the eye of the world, these may look identical, but in the unseen landscape of karma, they are vastly different seeds. The Buddha said, by mind alone is the world led. Mind is the forerunner of all states. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. Dhammapada 1-2. This is why karma is not merely behavior. It is energy, born from consciousness itself. And just as fire can warm or destroy, depending on how it is used, so too our intentions can be a force of healing or a source of harm. In the law of karma, there is no external judge, no divine book recording sins and merits. The universe is not watching to punish the wicked or reward the good. What exists instead is a mirror, the mirror of our own actions and thoughts, returned to us through the unfolding of time. This can be terrifying, but it can also be liberating, for it means that we are not imprisoned by our past. It means that even if we have planted thorns, we can begin now to plant jasmine. The scent may not come at once, but it will come. The field of karma responds not to guilt, but to sincerity. There are moments when we may feel overwhelmed by the weight of what we've done, but the Buddha, with great compassion, offered hope, just as a great river carries away even a drop of poison. He taught, so too, when one trains the mind in right view, right effort, and right conduct, the old deeds begin to lose their grip. Anguttara Nikaya. He often compared karma to a stream. The current may be strong, and we may be caught in it, but the moment we become aware, we are no longer completely bound. Awareness gives us the strength to swim, to act with care, to speak with mindfulness, to think with understanding. This is where the law of karma meets the path of liberation. For while karma governs the world of samsara, the realm of birth and death, it is also the key to freedom from it. When we act without craving, without clinging, without harming, we are no longer weaving the threads of rebirth. We are loosening them. In the fire sermon, the Buddha declared all is burning, burning with the fire of greed, hatred, and delusion. But he did not end in despair. He taught the path to extinguish that fire. Right view, right speech, right livelihood, right mindfulness. These are not moral commands. They are tools to purify karma, to shape a different future not only for ourselves, but for all beings who share this earth. The most beautiful part of this teaching is its immediacy. Karma is not some far-off mechanism. It is here, now. When we hold a grudge, karma arises. When we forgive, karma shifts. When we bow in humility, when we listen without needing to respond, when we breathe deeply before speaking, karma softens. The field is never fixed. The seeds are never set. In every breath, we are planting something. And so the Buddha taught, not to frighten us with the consequences of wrong, but to awaken us to the power of right. He invited us to become intimate with our actions, to recognize that what we do matters, not because someone is watching, but because our actions shape the very person we are becoming. The law of karma is not a rule. It is a reflection. And the more gently we live, the more gently life returns itself to us. In a world where much feels beyond our control, karma offers a sacred place of agency. It whispers, "This you can choose." And from that choice, a different kind of future is born. 3 types of karma and their results. The wind that touches your cheek this morning may have begun its journey on another continent. The rain that feeds the roots of a tree today may have once fallen on a distant ocean. Nothing in this life begins and ends where it appears. All things are interwoven. All things carry histories. And karma, too, moves in unseen ways, its causes often far behind us, its effects waiting patiently to arrive. In the teachings of the Buddha, karma does not unfold in a single line. It is not an instant reaction, nor a predictable equation. The fruits of our actions ripen at different times, some in this life, some in the next, and some in lives far beyond what memory can hold. This is why the Buddha spoke of 3 types of karma, not to mystify us, but to help us see more clearly into the rhythms of cause and effect that weave our existence. The first is immediately effective karma, ditthadhamma vedanya kama, the actions whose consequences manifest in this very lifetime. These are the echoes we hear quickly. A word spoken in kindness today may bring friendship tomorrow. A moment of deceit may return as suspicion before the sun sets. These effects do not wait long, like seeds planted in fertile soil. They break the surface swiftly. The Buddha taught, when a person acts or speaks with a defiled mind, suffering follows as surely as the cart follows the ox. But when one acts or speaks with a pure heart, joy follows like a shadow that never departs. Dhammapada 1-2. This type of karma teaches us about immediacy. It reminds us that our present actions shape our immediate experience of the world. If we speak with bitterness, we taste its sharpness on our own tongue. If we offer compassion, we are the first to feel its warmth. Ditthadhamma vedanya kama is the karma we meet, like a reflection in a mirror that responds as soon as we move. But not all karma is so near. Some actions plant deeper seeds that remain dormant until a different soil receives them. This is the second type next life karma, upapajja vedanya kama karma, that bears fruit in the life immediately following this one. This idea may feel distant, even mythic, to modern ears. But it is not about belief in future worlds. It is about understanding that some consequences unfold slowly, across vast distances of time and consciousness. Imagine a tree whose roots are buried beneath the winter frost. To the eye, it appears lifeless. But come spring, green shoots emerge. In the same way, certain intentions, especially those shaped by deep habit or powerful emotion, take time to mature. Acts of cruelty, even if unseen now, may echo in the soul's next journey. Acts of devotion, even if unrecognized in this life, may rise again as inner peace or clarity in another. The Buddha shared many stories of this unfolding. He spoke of children born with unusual brightness, monks whose insights awakened quickly, and others who struggled with burdens they could not name. In each case, he pointed not to chance, but to karma ripening from beyond the veil of this single life. And then, there is the third kind, delayed karma, aparapariya vedanya karma, that bears fruit in lives far beyond the next. These are the seeds sown into deep time. Some actions, like stones dropped in a still lake, send ripples that continue long after the hand is gone. This karma is subtle. It does not hurry, but it does not vanish. These three kinds of karma are not meant to frighten us with the weight of past lives. They are meant to illuminate the truth that our actions matter more than we often know. The words you speak today may bless a child not yet born. The cruelty you avoid may free someone from a pain you'll never see. The heart you heal may not remember your name, but it will remember the kindness. The Buddha was careful to say, not everything that happens to us is karma. Illness may come from bacteria, not from moral failing. Poverty may come from politics, not from past life error. But what karma does teach us is this: within every moment, we have power. Power not to control the universe, but to choose the quality of our intention. A man asked the Buddha, "How can we ever know what karma is ripening now?" And the Buddha answered, "The present moment is the fruit of the past, and your present choices are the seed of the future. Look here, not in the stars." Paraphrased from Anguttara Nikaya. In meditation, we see this truth for ourselves. When we sit with stillness, our thoughts begin to show us their roots. The anger we feel may not be from today. It may have been carried through years of silence. The joy that fills us may not come from a possession, but from an act of letting go we once dared to take. Karma is not abstract. It is intimate. It lives in our memory, in our mood, in our breath. When we understand these three types of karma, we stop rushing to judge. We no longer see misfortune as deserved or success as earned in full. We begin to move with compassion, knowing that everyone carries unseen burdens and hidden gifts. Some are walking through storms they did not cause. Others are harvesting fruits they once forgot they planted. And so the Buddha encouraged patience. He taught us to water the wholesome seeds and not to despair if they do not bloom at once. He said, "Just as rain fills the sleeping roots of a mountain tree, your goodness will one day flower. Trust the Dharma. Trust your path." Understanding karma in these three dimensions is not about fearing retribution. It is about living with humility and presence. It is a reminder that our actions are not lost, that even a small gesture of compassion ripples through time, like sunlight traveling through space. The rain that falls today began its journey long ago, and the mercy you offer now may blossom in a time you will never see. Poor karma is not the only force. The river flows, but it is not made by one spring alone. Rainfall, melting snow, underground currents, the tilt of the earth all contribute. In the same way, the unfolding of our lives cannot be explained by karma alone. It is one stream among many, powerful, yes, but never solitary. The Buddha taught karma as a law of moral causation, a natural rhythm of action and result, but he did not claim it explained everything. To do so, he said, would be a form of ignorance, a narrowing of the vast field of existence. Just as a doctor would not blame every illness on a single cause, a wise practitioner does not attribute every joy or sorrow to karma alone. There is a story preserved in the discourses of the middle-length sayings. In the town of Devadaha, some followers of other paths claimed that all pain and pleasure were the fruit of past deeds. Nothing could be changed. They said, whatever one experienced was the exact unfolding of prior karma. Hearing this, the Buddha responded gently but firmly, "Not so, monks. If that were true, then one would not need to do anything in the present. But I say, there are causes beyond karma. There is nutriment, there is climate, there is chance, and there is the will of beings. Majjhima Nikaya, 101, Devadavadiyuha Sutta. To live deeply, we must recognize these many layers. Yes, karma is real. Yes, our intentional actions shape our future, but not all suffering is punishment. Not all success is merit. The child born with an illness may not be carrying the weight of a past life. The farmer whose crops fail may not be paying for a mistake. There is weather. There is genetics. There is the collective weight of systems and history. Life is vast. What karma gives us is not the key to every mystery, but a gentle torch in the dark. It shows us the power of our intention, not as the only force, but as the most immediate one we can hold. While we cannot choose the family we are born into, the time we live in, or the conditions of our early years, we can choose how we respond. The Buddha called this right effort, the capacity to cultivate wholesome states and abandon unwholesome ones, regardless of what surrounds us. He once taught, just as a lotus rises from the muddy water but is not soiled by it, so too can a person rise above conditions through mindfulness and effort. The mud may not be our fault, but the blooming is our path. Biological conditions, what we might now call genetics, were acknowledged in the Buddha's time. In some suttas, he speaks of people born with certain dispositions, such as quick understanding or natural calm. He never blamed them for these traits, nor praised them. He simply noted that each being arrives with its own constellation of conditions. Karma may be one star in that constellation, but not the sky itself. Then there is the environment, the places we live, the cultures we inhabit, the friendships and betrayals we encounter. These, too, shape us. A compassionate heart may wither in a violent land. A timid spirit may grow brave in the care of a loving teacher. These are the forces of interdependence, what the Buddha called pakaya, the web of supporting conditions that give rise to every phenomenon. The Buddha often taught through dependent origination. When this is, that is. When this ceases, that ceases. This chain of causation shows that no thing arises from a single cause. Suffering, too, is conditioned not only by karma, but by ignorance, craving, contact, and form. To understand this is to dissolve the illusion of blame. We do not need to find a culprit for every hardship. We need to understand the web and begin untangling it with compassion. The danger of misusing karma is subtle but real. It arises when people use it to judge others, or worse, to justify injustice. To say that someone deserves their suffering because of past karma is to close our eyes to systems of violence, inequality, and neglect. The Buddha never taught karma as a weapon of blame. He taught it as a mirror for the self. He once said, "If you see someone suffering, do not think, they must deserve this. Instead, think, how can I help?" Compassion is always the right response, not because it erases karma, but because it transcends judgment. To live wisely is to know what is ours to change and what is not. Karma reminds us that we are never powerless, but humility reminds us that we are not all-powerful either. There is mystery in this life. There is randomness. There is the vast, immeasurable dance of causes we may never see. And yet, in the heart of this complexity, the Buddha placed a simple truth: with mindfulness, all things are transformed. Even when we cannot trace the origin of our pain, we can sit with it. We can breathe into it. We can choose to speak with care, to act without harm, to walk with gentleness. When we stop reducing all experience to karma, we begin to see the richness of human life. We become softer in our judgments, more patient in our grief, more curious in our seeking. The field of existence is not made of single threads. It is a tapestry, alive with wind and rain, with karma and chaos, with form and formlessness. And in the middle of it, we sit, breathing, listening, holding the responsibility we have, and releasing the burden we do not need to carry. This is not the escape from karma. It is the awakening into its true place, not as the only law, but as one path among many, a path we can walk with mindfulness, humility, and compassion. 5. Karma and liberation. There is a silence beyond action, beyond every breath, every choice, every ripple of intention. There is stillness. The Buddha did not guide us only to understand karma. He led us through karma, and beyond it, into the boundless space of liberation. Karma is the architecture of becoming. It constructs the house we live in, moment to moment, life to life. But liberation is the freedom to step out of the house altogether, to walk beyond its walls, and to see that the sky has always been open. To understand karma is to walk with awareness. To transcend it is to walk without chains. In the early days, before the sutras were written, the Buddha wandered the forests and plains of India barefoot. Speaking not of metaphysics, but of practice, he taught that actions governed by intention shape the cycle of samsara, the endless turning of birth and death. This cycle, he said, was not eternal punishment. It was simply the continuation of habits, the echo of causes seeking their end. But there is a way out. There is a path that leads to the cessation of karma. That path is the noble eightfold path. Samyutta Nikaya karma is the wind that moves the wheel. But liberation is the stillness at its center. When a flame has no fuel, it goes out. In the same way, when there is no craving, no clinging, no self-grasping to reap the fruits of action, karma ceases to bind. The Buddha explained volition. Monks, I call karma. Having willed, one acts by body, speech, and mind. But when the mind is liberated, volition no longer creates bondage. The wheel stops turning. This does not mean that the enlightened do nothing. An awakened being still walks, still speaks, still breathes, but their actions no longer create karmic residue. Why? Because there is no I left to own them. The sense of a separate self, the idea that I did this, or this will benefit me, has dissolved like mist in sunlight. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha describes the arahant, the liberated one, as a person whose path is like that of birds in the sky without trace. This is karma-free action, not inaction, but pure motions flowing from understanding. Action without attachment, compassion without agenda, speech without harm. These are the expressions of a free mind. One of the most radical insights of the Buddha is that even karma is impermanent. Even the law of cause and effect is not eternal. It, too, is conditioned. When ignorance ceases, craving ceases. When craving ceases, clinging ceases. When clinging ceases, becoming ceases. This is the 12-fold chain of dependent origination. This is the secret the Buddha uncovered beneath the Bodhi tree. Not only that suffering had a cause, but that liberation was possible through the cessation of causes. To truly be free is not merely to accumulate good karma. It is to go beyond the need to accumulate at all. The Buddha said, even wholesome deeds, if done with attachment, are fetters. Let go of all things not with aversion, but with insight. This does not mean we abandon ethics or compassion, Quite the opposite. It means we act from a place of clarity, not transaction. We give not to earn merit, but because giving is joy. We speak truth not to be praised, but because silence would betray the heart. Liberation is not elsewhere. It begins here, in the still pause before a reaction, in the mindful breath before speech, in the letting go of the need to win, to prove, to become. The Buddha described nirvana, not as annihilation, but as the unbinding of the heart, the cooling of the flame, the release from the endless chase of becoming someone. In one story, a monk asked the Buddha, "What is left after awakening?" And the Buddha replied, "Nothing is left, and nothing is gone." The monk did not understand, but later, in meditation, he saw it. When the fire goes out, the warmth remains. When the storm passes, the earth is still. Awakening is not something you possess. It is what remains when possession ends. Many seek liberation through effort, through striving, through accumulation of knowledge or virtue. But effort without awareness becomes a new form of becoming. The Buddha said, "The wise one lets go of both the near shore and the far shore, not clinging to either. He crosses over, sutta nipata." This is the final paradox. You cannot will your way to freedom, for willing itself is part of the not. Instead, you must see the patterns of your thoughts, the weight of your reactions, the way karma rises in your speech and settles in your bones. When you see clearly, the holding loosens, not through force, but through understanding. The snake, once recognized, is no longer feared. Liberation is not the fruit of karma, but the end of karma's compulsion. And yet, karma is the road we must walk to reach that end. We begin with right action, right speech, right livelihood, not as rules, but as guides. They clear the path. They calm the storm. They point to the center of the turning wheel. And when the mind becomes still enough, we realize we were never trapped. We were only entangled in our own habits, our own beliefs. The door has always been open. So walk gently. Water wholesome seeds. Tend to each step with mindfulness, not to escape karma, but to meet it with wisdom, to bow to its law while learning to walk beyond it. As the Buddha taught, there is no path to freedom apart from the path of compassion and insight. And there is no greater joy than to walk it with an undefended heart. Conclusion. Karma in the Buddha's words. In the hush of the forest before dawn, when even the wind holds its breath, the world offers its truest teaching. Everything arises from something. And yet, nothing stands alone. The Buddha did not speak of karma to frighten us. He spoke of it the way one speaks of fire to a child, not to burn them with warning, but to help them live without being burned. Karma, in his words, was not punishment, not fate, not a moral ledger in the sky. It was a mirror polished by the quiet brush of awareness, so that we might see not merely what we have done, but who we are becoming. Throughout his 45 years of teaching, the Buddha returned again and again to this simple, profound truth. Beings are the owners of their actions, heirs of their actions, born of their actions, related through their actions, and have their actions as their refuge. Majjhima Nikaya, Anand 35. But he did not stop there. He added, whatever a person does, good or evil, of that they shall be the heir. In these words, there is neither fear nor fatalism. There is responsibility, and more than that, possibility. For karma, as he taught it, is not about what we deserve. It is about what we create. It is not only a memory of the past, it is the shaping of the present. and the quiet writing of a future still fluid, still waiting. In each moment of anger we indulge, in each word of tenderness we offer, in each decision made in haste or care, karma moves, not as judgment, but as echo. And yet, the Buddha pointed us beyond echo, beyond cause and effect. He showed us how to live with karma, but not under it. To live with karma is to honor the web of consequences that flow from intention. But to awaken is to act with such clarity, such non-clinging, that karma no longer weaves itself into the fabric of rebirth. This, he said, is possible not through belief, but through presence, through the practice of right view, right speech, right mindfulness, through the soft and steady walk of compassion. The Buddha never asked us to believe in karma blindly. He asked us to observe, to feel the tightness of greed and the freedom of generosity, to witness how fear divides and how kindness heals. He asked us to see that karma is not only personal, it is collective. What we plant in ourselves, we also plant in the world. One drop of hatred pollutes more than the heart that holds it. One act of forgiveness opens more than a single door. And so, karma is not merely cause and effect. It is relationship, it is memory, it is habit, it is the song of our speech and the posture of our gaze. It lives in the choices we make when no one is watching. It lives in how we greet a stranger, in how we listen to a friend's silence, in how we respond to suffering our own and others. The Buddha's wisdom, in the end, was not in explaining karma, but in teaching us how to be free from its binding, not by escaping the world, but by touching it without grasping, by meeting it with eyes that see deeply, by living as though every step plants a seed. Because it does. We do not need to understand the whole ocean to drink from the well. We do not need to recall past lives to act wisely now. We need only to turn inward, to dwell in the breath, to tend the garden of our heart with patience and love. The Buddha did not promise safety. He promised the path, and karma was never his threat. It was his invitation to see clearly, to live mindfully, to act with a heart that knows no separation between self and other. So we return, not to a doctrine, but to a practice, a way of being in the world that doesn't deny suffering, but transforms it, that does not ignore impermanence, but embraces it like a friend, that does not fear karma, but walks beside it knowing that, like a shadow, it cannot bind the one who walks in light. The final teaching is not written in words, but in how we meet the next moment. What will you plant with your next thought? What kind of future will grow from your next breath? In the stillness that follows these questions, listen, not for the voice of a teacher far away, but for the voice that has always been here, the quiet knowing that you are free to choose, now, and again, and again. Because in the Buddha's words, karma is not the prison, it is the path, and freedom is found not at the end, but in the walking.